All right, let's jump right in today. We're doing a deep dive on a story from Kathryn Kuhlman's book, Nothing is Impossible with God.
Yeah.
It's about a musician, Keith Purdue.
Right.
Imagine you're, I don't know, about to sign a record deal.
Oh, wow.
You know, really about to hit it big, and then bam, you get hit with a life-altering diagnosis.
Yeah, that's got to be rough. And that's what happened to Keith. He goes to the dermatologist, Dr. Samuel Ayres.
Oh, so this is a true story from the book.
True story from the book. It's incredible.
Okay.
So he goes to the dermatologist to have some warts removed and just kind of casually, mentions a mole that had been bothering him.
Oh.
Dr. Ayres is like, yeah, let's take that off too, just in case.
Just to be safe.
Just to be safe, right?
Right.
Well, a week later, Keith gets a call to come back into the office.
Uh-oh.
That mole. Malignant melanoma.
No way.
Black cancer is what Dr. Louis Giss, a surgeon at USC, called it.
Wow, and that's the most serious kind, right?
The most serious kind spreads rapidly through the lymph nodes.
Wow.
They told him he needed surgery, immediately.
Oh, my God.
And even then, his chances were only 70%.
Oh, wow.
That's scary.
Yeah, I mean, to be told that, to have your whole life ahead of you and think...
Right, to have your dreams right there.
Yeah.
Suddenly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
His mom flew out right away to be with him. Of course, didn't want him to go through this alone,
Right.
And I think it's interesting how often it's in these moments of crisis.
Yeah.
When we start to open up to things we might not have considered before.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So while Keith is processing this whole diagnosis, his mom's in her motel room.
Yeah.
Flipping through the channels and stumbles across a Kathryn Kuhlman broadcast.
Oh, wow. So this is...
Talk about coincidence.
Yeah, so this is how they were introduced to Kathryn Kuhlman.
Yeah, I mean, no, Keith was a self-proclaimed agnostic.
Oh, so not into the, faith healing.
No, skeptical.
Right.
But his mom, she was drawn to Kathryn. There was something about her that just inspired hope. Yeah. So she asks Keith to go with her to one of the services at the Shrine Auditorium.
Oh, wow.
He's hesitant at first,
Yeah.
but eventually agrees. I mean, what does he have to lose?
Right, exactly.
So they get to the Shrine Auditorium, and it is packed.
Oh, no.
Parking lots full, people everywhere.
Oh, wow.
They're told by an attendant there's just no way they're getting in.
Oh, no.
Easy to just give up and go home, right?
Yeah.
But they push their way through the crowd, and as they do, the door just opens, and they slip inside.
Wow.
Talk about a miracle, right?
Yeah, right?
So they find themselves in this, hushed, reverent atmosphere.
Yeah.
And an usher leads them to two seats right in the middle of the auditorium.
Oh, wow.
Like they were meant to be there.
Yeah.
Keith is watching Kathryn as she speaks. He's struck by her calmness, her peace.
Yeah.
No theatrics, doesn't fit his image of a faith healer at all.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, Keith starts crying uncontrollably.
Yeah.
This emotional release.
Like a dam had broken. And then, even stranger, he experiences temporary paralysis.
Oh my gosh.
But he isn't spared. He finds it comforting.
Really?
Yeah. His mom senses that something big's happening.
Oh, wow.
Leans over and whispers, "Do you want to go up on stage?"
Oh my gosh.
Now remember, Keith was resistant to this whole idea.
Right.
But something had changed inside him. It was like a turning point.
Yeah.
Wrestling with his skepticism.
Right.
But drawn to the stage, drawn to Kathryn, to something he couldn't quite understand.
Right.
And then his mom asks him that, and it's almost like she gave him permission to embrace this possibility, to step into the unknown. And Usher comes up to them and asks, have you been healed?
Wow.
Keith's mom, without a doubt, says, yes, he's been healed of cancer.
Oh, wow.
Just complete conviction, power of a mother's love, unwavering faith,
Yeah.
The usher looks at Keith, who's still kind of wrestling with it all, and repeats the question. And he manages to stammer out, yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Even though, outwardly there's no sign.
Right.
But there's this deep inner conviction, and that's something we see a lot in these stories of healing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this inner knowing, a sense of wholeness that goes beyond the physical, a connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Wow. So they make their way up to the stage.
Yeah.
And Kathryn Kuhlman comes up to Keith with this gentle smile.
Yeah.
And says, oh, how wonderful.
Yeah.
And reaches out to pray for him.
And then, get this, Keith collapses to the floor.
Oh, my gosh.
Hands stretched above his head.
Wow.
He looks down at his hands, and they're gnarled and twisted.
Oh, no.
First thought is, oh, no, I've traded cancer for paralysis.
Right.
But then he feels it.
Oh.
This electric tingling sensation.
Really?
Coursing through his body. And it actually feels good.
Wow.
It's like his body's being rewired, re-energized.
Yeah.
A feeling of peace just washes over him, surrenders to the experience.
So healing's not always a straight line.
No, not always. Unexpected twists and turns along the way.
Right. So after a while, people helped Keith to his feet.
Yeah.
And they leave the auditorium.
As they're driving back to his apartment, his mom notices something different about him.
Oh, right.
She says he looks years younger.
Wow.
And he feels different, too. He tells his mom he feels like a child again, full of joy and wonder.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Like he's been given a new lease on life.
That's amazing.
But here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Despite this overwhelming feeling of healing,
Yeah.
Keith still goes through with the scheduled surgery.
What?
Yeah, checks into the hospital on Thursday.
Oh, wow.
Operation set for Friday morning.
I mean, I guess it makes you wonder why would he do that?
Right. It's like, maybe he needed to reconcile this new faith with his rational mind.
Yeah.
Maybe he needed that external validation from the medical world.
That's interesting.
Whatever the reason, he goes through with it.
Okay.
All the pre-op procedures, anesthesia, wakes up in recovery.
Yeah.
Later, back in his room, the doctor comes in,
Oh.
removes the splint and stitches,
Yeah.
and then delivers the news that's going to change Keith's life forever.
Wow.
He looks at Keith and says, "We have a good report. The biopsy was totally negative.
Oh, my God.
We found no malignancy whatsoever."
Are you serious?
Gone.
Wow.
The black cancer just gone.
A medical miracle.
It really is. Testament to the power of faith, the mystery of healing,
Incredible.
Keith wasn't surprised.
Right.
He had felt the healing.
Yeah.
But he questions the doctor, reminds him that the first biopsy showed total malignancy.
Yeah.
The doctor just shrugs and says, "It did, but when we got in there, everything was fine. I don't think you're going to have any trouble at all."
Like it never even existed.
It's like it never even existed.
It defies logic.
It defies all logical explanations.
I mean, this story is such a powerful reminder that sometimes the impossible is possible. That faith can move mountains.
Absolutely.
And that healing can happen in ways we may never fully understand.
The mystery.
Yeah. But his story doesn't end there.
No, it doesn't.
It's more than just the cancer disappearing.
It's a transformation, a shift in perspective.
Right. Yeah, it's like it's deeper than just, oh, I'm not sick anymore.
Right, exactly. He describes it as like feeling like a little kid again.
Oh, wow.
Full of joy, wonder.
Yeah.
He goes from facing this potentially fatal diagnosis to just embracing life.
Right.
With this new appreciation.
That's amazing.
Talk about resilience.
Yeah, it really makes you think about like how much of it is perspective.
Perspective, absolutely.
If we could just choose to look at things differently.
Yeah, and Keith actually, he ends his account with this really powerful analogy.
Oh.
He talks about the biblical story of the blind man healed by Jesus.
Yeah.
And when he's questioned about who Jesus is, the man simply says, "Who he is, I'm not sure, but one thing I am sure of. I used to be blind, now I can see."
Wow.
And it's such a powerful statement about faith, right?
Yeah.
It's not about having all the answers. It's about experiencing this transformation that changes how we see the world.
Right. Yeah.
And Keith, he acknowledges that he still doesn't fully understand God, but he is certain that he experienced this miraculous healing.
Yeah.
It's like a shift from darkness to light, from death to life.
It's powerful.
It really is. And, I think that's the heart of it. It's not about dogma or doctrine.
Right.
It's about this personal encounter
Yeah.
with a power greater than ourselves
Yeah.
that can heal us and transform us in ways we may never fully grasp.
Yeah, and it's like, it's almost like Kathryn is that vessel. Or
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, facilitating that connection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's not even about her. You know what I mean?
Right. It's about something bigger.
Yeah, exactly. It's about, like you said, something bigger than all of us.
And Keith's story is just this powerful reminder that, faith isn't always about blind acceptance. It's about being open to the possibility of the impossible, acknowledging that there are these forces at work that we might not fully understand, but they can profoundly impact our lives.
And that's like, in terms of Kathryn Kuhlman, that's what she was all about.
Right, exactly.
Like, that was her whole message.
Sort of an invitation, right, to consider the power of belief, the role of hope, expectation in shaping our reality. It encourages us to explore this intersection of faith, science, and personal experience, to stay curious, remain open
I like that,
to the mysteries of life.
Yeah, so I guess, for all of you listening out there, as you reflect on Keith's story, what resonates with you?
Yeah, what possibilities does it open up in your own life?
Yeah, maybe it challenges you to look at your own beliefs.
Right.
To consider the power of faith and prayer.
Yeah.
Maybe it inspires you to approach life's challenges with this renewed sense of hope.
Absolutely.
Knowing that even in the darkest moments, miracles are possible.
Yeah, and I think ultimately Keith's story is an invitation to believe in the possibility of healing, in the power of faith, and in that transformative potential that resides within each of us. It's a reminder that even when facing seemingly insurmountable obstacles, there is always hope.
That's beautiful. What a great story.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
All right, well, that is it for today's deep dive. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.